Welcome to VSS Solutions presentations on GDPR compliance for small businesses. This is the third video and final video in this series. The first video was to give you an overview of GDPR, an introduction to GDPR, in which I've explained the importance of GDPR and key aspects, and also the penalty if we are not compliant, the hefty penalty up to £20 million. And that sets the kind of stage for its importance. I've told in this video, just for those who haven't seen that video, it doesn't matter how big the business is, whether it's one-man army or it's 100,000 member strong, staff strong business, we need to be compliant. If we are within Europe or UK, and if it has implication on the UK, European Union citizens, then we need to be compliant. In the second video, I've given you a kind of key stages we need to consider in implementing the GDPR compliance. In this video, I'm going to explain VSS Solutions, our simple approach to become compliant to GDPR. This has been devised specifically for our small business customers in UK. So this can very well be taken as a sample to start your work around GDPR. Please note that this is not the legal document for you to obey, but it just gives you a guidance on which you should build your complaint model. Our approach has 5 stages. The first stage is to talk to you and give you an overview. So this is the important stage where we need to understand the business and its domain, and also how we wanted to approach this, and also we need to understand the cost aspect involved in the GDPR implementation. So that's the first stage. The second stage is understanding the actual business data itself. Now, when I say data, it is about what information you collect from the user, how you store it, how you process it, and what are the purposes you process it, and also who are all involved in processing the data. So all these information needs to be captured. This sets the kind of the key information needed to progress the program further. Stage 3 is to document the company's data protection policy in line with the GDPR documentation, the regulation. And also we need to document a privacy policy if you have a website as one of the channel for your business. In stage 4, we actually go and implement the technical aspects and the process change aspects. Technical, when I say, if you have a website through which the business interacts with your customer, if that's one of the channel, then we need to make changes to ensure it is compliant. And also in the offline, we need to make the right processes, and we need to implement those processes so that it will be GDPR compliant. The final stage is training your staff. That is the very important bit. Whatever you do and implement, if the staff are not properly trained, then there is every chance that we might become non-compliant. I will go a little in detail into each of the stage just to give you the kind of breadth and width of work we need to do. Information audit should capture a governance structure and how this data protection team will fit into your overall organization. And we need to define 3 of the key personalities. Data protection officer. In my previous videos, I would have explained what is it and how they fit in. And the data controller becomes very important part as well. Data processor who really takes the data and uses it. So we need to define what are the roles and responsibilities. GDPR defines very high level, how the role should be, but it needs to be customized to your business needs. The next one, data flow diagram. This is more of a data mapping to show at high level how data flows from one entity to another and how they are all intertwined. The whole core of the information audit is under the process section in our area. Each of the business process need to be understood and listed. For example, if you have a website and if you're asking your customer to register to start to receive your services, then that registration and approval becomes one of the process. And you need to capture all the activities in that process, and then you need to capture the data involved in it. Say, for example, their email, phone number, whatever you capture at that stage becomes the data captured. And then reason for access, why you're actually accessing their information, need to be captured as well. Data processor details, who uses it and how it is used, need to be captured. The last bit is the data storage, how you store the data and how you retrieve it when it is needed. So all these information need to be captured as part of the information audit. This is the most important stage where we shouldn't miss any of the data or any of the processes involved in this business. So whenever you wanted to be compliant, ensure this part is done with more conviction and details. The next one is how we document the data protection policy. So there are two documents we mentioned. One is data protection policy, another one is the privacy policy document. The data protection policy document is more of an internal document where you define all your process, and also you're going to use this as an evidence to show how you're going to be compliant to this regulation. For example, how we have conceptualized is we take every article and we take every section of the article. For example, in this one, it says the controller shall be responsible for and be able to demonstrate compliance with paragraph 1. So we need to demonstrate the compliance. How do we demonstrate it? Our process says this policy document is to demonstrate the process involved in data protection. So this becomes the compliance evidence. So we take every aspect of the article and we try to map with our internal process. So that's how it's going to be prepared. This is one of the actual document we have prepared for our client. It has plenty of sections, and each section covers on one article from the GDPR. You can see there are plenty of sections over there. We follow the similar approach what I've shown a little earlier. The next document, so that was the internal document. The first purpose to establish the evidence of the compliance. Second one, that's where we define all our internal process. If someone asks you to say give their details, the data subject request, then we need to give within 30 days to the user all their details and where we are holding those details. We need to have a process inside that document the moment when that request arrives. So the document is designed such a way, whenever there is a request, we just need to go to that section and take the process and go and just perform that activity and be compliant. Simple as that. So that's one. Second one is privacy policy document, where in your website you need to have this information explained to the user before getting the consent. Who are we? What type of information we collect? Lawful basis. How do we collect the information? How is the information used? How long your information is going to be stored? Who has access to your information? Individual rights. There are 8 rights listed in the 8 or 9, I think 8 plus rights listed in the GDPR. So we need to list out all these rights there. So customer needs to know. So that's one of the complaints. You need to be compliant to this. The next, security precautions. How we are protecting your data through anonymization or through security or SSL. So you need to give the hints of how it is secured. Profiling related information, if any, use of cookies. In our privacy document, we have even given how to disable the cookies in various browsers. And then how 16 and under children are treated and how their data are treated. And also if you are transferring the data from Europe, outside the Europe, then how it's going to be treated. And data protection by design. This is one of the key aspects of GDPR. So your privacy policy document needs to be comprehensive, but you shouldn't make the document difficult to understand. It should be in very simple terms so that user will, and that's one of the requirement in the GDPR. All these documents, we have templates. If you need to, if you would like to get these templates, please do drop us an email. We can share it with you. The next one is the actual implementation itself. So we went through audit and then we went through documentation. Now we are coming to implementation. Both sides, there are website changes in online, and then you need to talk about website security, database anonymization, that is encryption, and then backups, how you take the backup and how you'll ensure you're not losing the data of the customer. An offline process need to be implemented as well. How you access, how you process, and all sorts of things. So that's the actual implementation stage. The next and final stage, as I said, training your staff, including you need to clearly define the DPO, data protection officer, data controller, and processor roles and responsibilities. So that's the kind of approach. If you go back to our 5 key stages, now you will be able to connect back. First, the kind of an overall planning. Next is the information audit. Third stage, your policy documentations. Fourth stage, you go and implement it. Fifth stage, you train your staff. So that's the overall approach we have established. We are happy to help you if you need. The ICO website has plenty of information. Please do go and take the authorized content from there. If you need some help or some quick catch up, I've given my email ID and mobile number. You can just drop a note or give us a ring. Happy to discuss with you and help as much as possible. If you need my templates, you can drop a note to my email ID. I can send you the policy template and privacy document template for you to use for your business. Thank you. Bye.